let's have a real conversation about making decisions. Now clearly from a leadership perspective, one of your most important responsibilities is to make good decisions or to ensure that the organization makes good decisions collectively. So let's just talk through a couple of key things around the whole process of decision making. Number one, I believe that decision making should be as transparent as possible. Now, obviously there's legal reasons and other reasons of confidentiality that you can't always share everything with your employees that you'd like to. But if a significant decision is on the offing about expanding into another market or adding a division or some other significant kind of strategic change in the organization, then you want to give people as much of a view into that as you possibly can. And one of the reasons that you do that is because when people know that something's going on, they're going to tell a story about it. In our leadership workshop, Path Forward Leadership Workshop, we talk about something called the ladder of inference, which is a way that we arrive at our judgments about things based on a very small piece of information. When we have more information, our judgments are clearer. We don't tell ourselves as many stories. We don't make things up because we know what's going on instead of just guessing at it. There's really three different categories of decisions that I think you need to make as a manager or a leader in your organization. The first one I call the 51% decision. Now, that's a decision where you may take counsel and guidance and information from others, but the decision is still yours to make. And you're going to exercise your 51% of the vote on the decision, even if everyone else disagrees with you. Now, that shouldn't be your default method for decision making, but I've had a number of times in my career where that sort of decision needed to be made, and it needed to be made by a particular person in the hierarchy. Now, if you're going to exercise your 51% of the vote, tell people that's what you're going to do up front, so you don't lead to any misunderstandings about who's going to make the final decision. The second is clearly a more democratic process where you would bring a group of people in and say, let's find out what the group's decision is going to be about this particular decision. And I will share a vote along with each one of you, and we'll do it in kind of a democratic way. Again, that can be very effective depending on the type of decision that's being made, but you have to tell people up front that that's what it's going to be. So again, there aren't any misunderstandings. And then the last one is consensus. I think occasionally there's an issue that comes up in your business that has to do with its core values, and in some way really requires a consensus among a group of people about a direction. This should be rare. It's hard to achieve, and I think many companies try too hard, frankly, to achieve consensus on key issues. And they allow one person or two people out of a group of 10 or 20 to hold the decision back by resisting it. Now, when you've made the decision, now you have an opportunity and a responsibility to communicate the decision that has been made and make sure that you have a deep understanding of the impact that that decision is going to have on all the stakeholders that are involved. And this step is often left out. I'm always surprised to see the number of times in our client organizations where decisions made and people are basically standing around scratching their heads wondering why that decision was made and why it was made the way it was made. So again, back to transparency. Be transparent that a decision needs to be made. Be transparent about the decision-making process in regard to who's actually going to make the decision. And now be transparent about the decision that has been made. Transparency, transparency, transparency. Really important throughout this entire process. Understand the stakeholders, understand that people will have emotions in many cases about the decisions that are made. People will feel afraid and uncertain if change is going to occur as a result of those decisions. And you also will often have a rumor mill and a lot of chatter that going on about the decision in the organization that you need to get out in front and control. So the more you can tell people why the decision was made, how the decision was made, and what the impacts of the decision are on all involved, the more successful you're going to be. I think the way to say it is, as a leader, you need to be thoughtfully decisive. You need to make decisions, you need to move forward, you need to make stuff happen. But you have to do it in a thoughtful way. And the deeper the understanding you have, and the deeper the understanding the organization has about the decision and the process of making the decision, the better the decisions will be and the more support they'll have over the long run. Again, just think about each person hearing the results of a decision and putting it in their own perspective and making judgments about how this is going to impact me. Good leadership goes out and addresses each person, each stakeholder that's affected by any sort of decision that's made, and engages with them to develop understanding and hopefully support for the decision. You can't leave out that step. So making decisions is important. Making them fast is important sometimes. Making them slow is important other times. But have a process, have a chain of command, and communicate, communicate, communicate. Thank you.